In my capacity as the president of HKABAEIMA, from the chair of Hong Kong Chapter of Business Smart International, this session will give you 2.5 hours CPD. Okay? It's very important. Now, we are just 2 years old and we're still at the top in the world of Open BIM, Open GIS, Open CDE, and Open Data, and the vision to work smarter. To take the theme Open Data for a Smarter City today, the number of highlights. And first of all, we are honored to have this Berlin as Secretary for Works, Planning and Plans, Secretary for Development, Planning and Plans, to grace us with their presence and to give us a keynote address. So we have to thank them for that. Very busy schedule. And this will be followed by a signing of a memorandum of understanding with Smart City Consortium in furtherance of our vision to enable open digital information flow across the entire field asset industry. Though we are still a developing chapter of Smart International, we have taken heed to launch the professional certification of program. And it's our second time to present certificates to a large number of qualified individuals today. We have a very solid training program in a hybrid mode today, covering PIM, horizontal organization for PIM GIS implementation, plus very smart experience sharing, including sharing by participants and winners of very smart international award. And last but not least, we're going to announce and launch our first ever Hong Kong Famous Open BIM Award. We intend to invite Smart City Consortium with some talks today, but due to the very tight schedule today, we have to defer this to a later date. I hope we can do it sometime, perhaps on the 30th of December, when we hope this venue again. And that will be part 2 of our special event for our 2nd anniversary. Before we start, let me give you some background about our organization and the story of Open BIM in Hong Kong. The Alliance is in fact a byproduct of CIC's endeavors. When we were considering how to drive Open BIM in the year 2018, and align our work with BIM leaders in the world. We aim to interpret the thought of Open BIM, the Open BIM's direction for BIM development, in which it is a specific universal approach to the collaboration of design, realization, and operation of buildings based on open standards and workflows. These include building smart initiatives, IFC and PCF formats for project coordination. So you can find the latest local information about Open BIM and Building Smart's website. Open BIM facilitates interoperability to benefit projects and assets throughout the life cycle. I wish to emphasize the last bullet point. Sustainability is safeguarded by long-term interoperable data standards. This is very important. And indeed, open data are durable assets appropriate for long-term stewardship, which is important for making submissions. And in my capacity as chairperson of the Committee of PIM or PIP, we started our dialogue with Building Smart International in October 2018 in Tokyo. And on the quest for integrating PIM and GIS for planning and design of public housing that was working on the party many years ago, I was first introduced to the use of IFC, that's Open BIM, back in the year 2010. And it worked. It was Jeff Hinton of Astrid told me that I have to IFC. It was a one evening. The reason I have planners and surveyors working on GIS using for a project. Engineers, architects using PIM for the same project. I think they must give you. That's how it started. And then IFC made it work. It was not a theoretical thinking. When I first attended Building Smart International, there was something to talk to. I meet these leaders. It was an eye-opener. This gave the impetus to drive Open BIM in Hong Kong. I was very impressed by a speaker in the Netherlands who said, we do not use the term Open BIM in the Netherlands. The reason? Very big thing. The BIM we learn is Open BIM. So working with IFC is a common practice in the Netherlands. I have to say it's not practiced in Hong Kong. And next for CIC, we organized a 30-member delegation. Yes, I started to use a lot. and then met the chairman and CEO of BSI in March 2019. When we came back to Hong Kong, we discussed it, and we considered that Hong Kong is mature enough to form a chapter of tourism. But CRC is statutory body. Discovered that it could not be possible for them to do so because they are prevented by the parents upon liquidation in any event. So we got stuck. What do we do? So I said the second best option is to get the bodies to figure out. So, and then frequent associations, namely the HKABAEIMA, HKABAEIMA, HKGISA, that's our founding members, come together in April 2019. And then a small delegation had a Good Smart Chapters conference in Helsinki in June 2019. We prepared to form the alliance and then apply to the Hong Kong chapter. That was the very beginning. And the alliance is funded by three associations, HKGISA, HKICBIN, HKIBIN, which are specialists in the information management of built asset and mining industries in Hong Kong. So our alliance was established in August 2019, and the board of directors comprises 7 members, with nominations from all the 3 founding members. And our mission covers 3 levels: at the industry level, society level, and the global level, which is drive district innovation and global development. So, next, we formed the alliance, and around 30 delegates from Hong Kong attended the International Summit in Beijing in October 2019. So we established, we applied to really smart to establish our Hong Kong chapter, and then we got committed, and last learning being made in Beijing in the conference in 2019. That was the beginning. So we uphold the vision of really smart to enable full benefits for digital ways of working in the business industry, and we uphold the vision of HKABAEIMA to foster societal collaboration for smarter information management across the built asset environment. So if you would like to work smart, you can find us the Really Smart website, and we have the authentic Really Smart.com. And by the way, Really Smart is a registered trademark. And Really Smart has a range of activities and groups that align to various organizations who have taken a use of Woodley. The current groups are airport, building, construction, water, railway, regulatory, and tax. So we always think of the same. You always have the room. Join the Hong Kong chapter, and you want this big family in the global community. So let's work together and join us if you're a corporation member, society member, or education member. So you join us if you believe in open view, innovation, or better asset environment, and you believe in So coming back to our events today, there's a very solid training program. So next I'm going to speak a little bit about our education activities and training activities. Our training covers 4 main aspects. First is the virtual classroom, free of charge. Second is the training event at the lower day, free of charge. The third one, PSI training program, and then the fourth one, also BIN, training program, again, mainly 4 areas. So starting with virtual classroom classes, I have twice a month since April 2020. Season 1, from PIN to Within. Season 2, PIN and JS Innovation. Season 3, Digital Construction with PIN, JS, IoT, or Smart City Development. Season 4, Power Open Data Knowledge Transfer, Vendors Open Data Networks. Season 5 is Way Forward with Diverse Growth. 6 is Extend with the Learning, ISO 962. So we have Season 6. And so please stay tuned for upcoming presentation slides. So thank you. The subject, the special event in July. It is our first ever training event in a physical year. So we call it CDU, and the field address is the first one, and the last, less. What's next for that? And that's a report as well, but we use on CDE systems. So a presentation by vendors and a discussion. And there's another special event that is in September. We have the Open BIM Open GIS for Smart City with the presentation of certificates to the BSI program and also the GIS and GIS program. So you can use the link to scan the QR code to review the video recording this event. And then move back to the very important topic about bringing Open BIM to global arena. It's a global benchmark for Open BIM training over participants. Talking about Open BIM, they have two skill levels. First is the foundation level, and then there's the practitioner level. This is foundation level is the knowledge-based learning according to the Buddhist astronomy. So we have launched the foundation level of the smart version program this year, and this is another important milestone in the history of Open BIM in Hong Kong. I'd like to recap the key content of the training program, and the trainer will do some more later on. Covering what is BIM, benefits of BIM, or Open BIM, and BIM processes with personalization, and Open BIM standards, and post-BIM organization. This will enable training to gain a solid foundation before they approach Open BIM. So the program covers two parts. First is training, which can be a classroom training or web-based training. That's the questions colloquium, like tutorial physically, and then exam, 30 minutes, 25 multiple-choice questions, generated from planned questions. So upon passing the exam, you will reach the marker. The name will be added to the list of questions in previous past in the Hong Kong campus. So this course is offered by our virtual training provider, and it's also tier 2. Training provider experience oriented. It's the name of the training program. Both these courses are tier 2 by CIC. So you may ask, why should I learn BIM? Or when should I start learning? So I like this technical survey very much. Issued by Revenue Bureau in December 2020 about a document, BIM Capital Works project in Hong Kong. Number 12/2020. Paragraph 24 clearly states that an Open BIM strategy should be adopted as far as possible, as far as practical. So this is the right path. Don't miss the chance. So if you pass exam, the list will be added to this list. So we now have over 280 registered participants and more than 100 candidates will pass the exam. So may I invite those in this room that will pass the exam to have these joints. I'm looking forward to SCC. And we offer a permanent special discount to celebrate the second anniversary of HKABAEIMA. So this offer will have been extended to the end of this month. So for those companies who have registered each form at least 10, they can enjoy a benefit of this discount. So with 10 or more, you enjoy 30% discount. With 30 or more, 40% discount. With 30 or more, 50% discount. So for those who can help escape the threat, please do so for students. So act now and get a lifelong and globally recognized qualification. This is recognized worldwide, and it's for life. So I welcome all of you to embrace Open BIM, Open GIS, and Open Data in support of our smart city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ada. Please have a seat. It is our honor to invite guests from the Development Bureau into this event. Coming next, the Permanent Secretary for Development, Planning and Lands, Ms. Bernadette Lee, JP, is going to share a keynote address to us. Let us show our warm welcome to Bernadette, please.
Good afternoon, Ada, Gary, Winnie, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. Make sure I pronounce the name rightly. With the Hong Kong Alliance of Built Assets and Environmental Information Management Association, Hong Kong HKABAEIMA. It's widely recognized by industry practitioners. The organization has put up tremendous energy and drive in promoting the use of built assets and environment information. Apart from grooming professionals, I understand the professionals come from both the private sectors and the public sectors. We have also actively fostered networking with global counterparts. Actually, you know, we cannot compare the past and the present. Today we witness another milestone of the organization, which is your second anniversary, and the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the Smart City Consortium. Here I wish to congratulate Ada and your team on your substantial achievement in just 2 years' time. And during the period that getting things done is not as easy as before. And all of us have to cope with uncertainties and inconvenience brought about by COVID-19. I have not compared notes with Ada beforehand, but Ada, in your delivery just now, you mentioned the word talk. Yes, I think the association is a talk, 2-year-old. But you have demonstrated the spirit of learning to run before you even learn to walk. So your dedicated efforts in promoting the use of new information technology has no doubt created an impact on the industry and on the government as well. The importance of digital data infrastructure in enhancing the quality of developments and construction standards cannot be more obvious. So keenly aware of this fact, the government is taking forward various initiatives to facilitate the development of the built asset industry and also the innovative use of geospatial data. So allow me to take this opportunity to give you a little bit of update of what we are doing. First, on the 3D digital map. These maps can be seen as a replica of a real city, but one built in a digital environment. As compared with the traditional 2D paper map, I'm sure we all welcome 3D maps even more because they are more catchy and they really show realistic and accurate representation of physical features. It is our hope that the 3D digital maps will provide a uniform platform for industry practitioners to integrate your data and do your analytical work. And to this end, the Lands Department has been working at full speed to make available high-quality 3D maps to the public. In this connection, the full set of maps covering the whole of Hong Kong is expected to be completed by 2023. So it is now being rolled out in phases that by 2023 we will cover the whole of Hong Kong. The second is building information modeling, BIM. So BIM is a very robust tool. I'm sure all of you will agree. And it renders instrumental assistance in project planning. And even after completion of a development, we hope the information in the model to serve as a tool for asset management. To promote the fuller and wider use of BIM, the Buildings Department is now developing the electronic commission hub, the first phase of which is expected to be launched in the first quarter of next year. So it's coming up very soon, first phase. By then, the building plans that essentially deal with structural works above ground will be submitted and processed electronically. The electronic submission hub will be fully launched in the second quarter of 2025, by which time all types of plans and relevant applications under the building ordinance will then be accepted and processed electronically. But still, that will not be mandatory because we want to make it a voluntary start. But in due course, we hope one day we can move towards this mandatory direction. And we hope that this introduction of the ESH will encourage the wider and fuller use of the BIM. As a further step to reap the benefits of this BIM technology in building plan processing, our two departments involved, namely the Lands Department and the Buildings Department, they are jointly developing a set of common BIM building plan checking tools. So if in future a development applicant is able to submit building plans together with a BIM data file, we hope that the tools can be applied to greatly improve the checking efficiency of building plans by the two departments and expedite the completion of development approval procedures. Right now, the two departments have been working towards the target of completing these checking tools and issuing the relevant practice notes by mid-2023. But I'm sure you will not agree with this timing, but streamlining is the key word of the day. So we will make our best endeavor to advance the implementation schedule. The BIM models will become a wealth of ready information for promoting other smart city initiatives. Specifically, the information captured in the models will support the Common Spatial Data Infrastructure, the CSDI, which I will now briefly highlight. As part of the implementation of the Smart City Blueprint, the CSDI serves as a one-stop spatial data platform for free use by government departments, businesses, academia, and the public. This is a strategically important platform to enhance the use and sharing of spatial data, something recognized worldwide as an important measure to support policy making, to drive innovation, and also to stimulate the value-added data community. So that is why the Development Bureau, with the support of the Innovation and Technology Bureau, as well as other bureaus and departments, I would say all bureaus and departments, have been making steady progress in building the CSDI. More than 320 data sets of spatial data contributed by these departments are targeted to be released on the proposed CSDI portal by the end of this year, which is coming up. We are now already almost in December, so this will come up next week. We shall continue to pursue our efforts in open data, building department as an example. The department plans to open up its data regarding the existing building stock to enable analysis on building age and location distribution, etc., among other useful data to be opened up in 2023. So from feasibility studies to design, from construction to ongoing operation of the development, it is clear that digital data plays a vital role in enhancing the effectiveness, efficiency, and quality of the entire process. It is the government's goal to explore new and innovative ways to work with our development practitioners in a smarter, safer, and more environmentally friendly way to develop Hong Kong as a world-class livable city. And to achieve this goal, we have to work hand in hand with the industry and with all of you here. So may I take this opportunity to thank you all for playing a part in constructing and building Hong Kong to what it is today. The government will continue to count on your support. And for now, I extend my best wishes for the future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bernadette. Please stay behind. We would like to present the certificate of appreciation to our honorable guests. Now, we would like to invite the President of Hong Kong HKABAEIMA, Architect Ada from BBS, to present the certificate of appreciation to Ms. Bernadette Lin JP. Thank you. Let's take a photo together. Thank you, Ms. Bernadette Lin. Please give her a big hand. Thank you. Followed by, we will now invite Engineer Carolina Holcomb-Man to accept the certificate of appreciation. Thank you. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you. Now we will invite Ms. Karen Leung to come along the stage to accept the certificate of appreciation. Thank you. Next, let us invite Dr. Frank Sher also to accept the certificate of appreciation. Dr. Frank Sher, please. Thank you. Last but not least, let's welcome Architect David Fong to accept the certificate of appreciation. Let's put the photo together. Thank you, David, and thank you, Ada. Please stay behind. Ladies and gentlemen, in the next session, we will witness a remarkable cooperation between Hong Kong HKABAEIMA and Smart City Consortium (SCC). It is established to develop Hong Kong as a world-leading smart city to foster the knowledge economy, enhance quality of life, and create a vibrant ecosystem by using information technology and promoting more effective resource management. First, let us invite the founder and honorary president of Smart City Consortium, Dr. Willie Tang JP, to come along the stage and witness with Ms. Bernadette Lin on signing the MOU. Now, let's welcome the president of Smart City Consortium, Mr. Gary Yeung, MH, and the president of HKABAEIMA and Architect Ada from BBS to say a few words and sign the MOU.
Just very brief few words. We hope our collective efforts by joining with Smart City can bring open workflows in a smarter city to new heights. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a great honor to partner with Hong Kong HKABAEIMA. Originally, I need to spend more than 10 minutes to introduce Smart City Consortium, but after this MOU, things become simple and direct. Smart City Consortium is building Smart Hong Kong together with Hong Kong HKABAEIMA. Thank you.
So now let's take a photo together.
Okay, leader. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Let's do the next segment. This marks the cooperation between Hong Kong ABEIMA and Smart City Consortium. Thank you. Now let's invite the dignitaries of Smart City Consortium and Board of Directors of Hong Kong ABEIMA to come on stage to take a photo. Shall we put off the mask and let's take a photo together? Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you very much. It is such a special moment for Hong Kong ABEIMA and SCC. Could our guests have a seat, please? Hong Kong ABEIMA has devoted plenty of effort in educating and accrediting practitioners with the knowledge of open BIM. Today, we are delighted to announce that we have recently accredited more than 80 new qualifiers for the Building Smart Professional Certification T-Cert Foundation. These qualifiers are coming from different sectors, including governmental departments and private sectors. Before presenting the certificates, let's invite our founder and CEO of Strategic Building Innovation and BIM School, Dr. Kelvin Kang, to give us latest news about the training achievements. Let's welcome Dr. Kang, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, a congratulations. Let's give one another a round of applause. It's 8 to celebrate the Hong Kong chapter of Building Smart International, the Hong Kong ABEIMA second anniversary. That's 2 years, and let's not forget, 2 years ago we could visit all the global events with Ada from Tokyo to Düsseldorf, from Finland to Beijing. And within the last 2 years, not only can we not put down our masks to take a photo, sometimes we cannot even come out and meet with one another. But in spite of all this global and local pandemic, we can still see tremendous momentum led by all the board members. We see Ada leading by example, many board members really contributing so much in making everything happen. So this is tremendous. At the same time, the latest number is that we have a total of 290 people who have registered for the exam, who have signed up for the course. Yet among them, the latest number is that we have 176 qualified individuals coming through the Hong Kong chapter, joining 5,000 or 6,000 such professionals globally. So this is tremendous. And as far as we know, all 176 of them got qualified just this year in 2021. Today, here, because of the venue, as we know, social distancing, because of the schedule, because of many other reasons, we could only celebrate with some of the 83 of the latest qualified individuals. These is half the list listed by your last name, and this is the other half of the list listed by last name. Each of these individuals, many of you are leaders of your organization, many of you are seniors, are professional, many of you are chief, yet you all volunteer to really go back to the course, study. We are talking about hundreds of pages of materials, tens and tens of quizzes, and each of you also have to take the honor code and take the exam and pass the exam. So this is tremendous. And once again, we have seen many of the board members, like Ms. Ada Fong and many other board members here, who led by example and taught this very exam earlier this year. There's a benefit also of taking this earlier, because the exam may also be getting more difficult. So as Building Smart International, this course again is joining 6,000 or so international qualified professionals to take an internationally acclaimed exam. And so this is something that our team is delivering that on behalf of BSI and then also supporting the exam. In particular, today, in the upcoming moments, we're going to invite many of these recently qualified professionals. For example, the latest round, we are celebrating many from the buildings departments. Many of them, as I said, are chief, are senior, yet they all also take the time to go through the exam, to learn all this new language, to understand why open BIM. Similarly, we have seen one of the Hong Kong ABEIMA board member, Billy, who taught the exam earlier in the year along with the board, and at this time was able to bring 50 of your colleagues to go through this course, and many of them have done amazing results too. Speaking about our keynote address in terms of what the government, the Development Bureau, BD, Lands are doing. Similarly, we see that the Lands Department and a lot of these surveyor professionals are also leading by example by taking the exam. And in fact, some of them even got full score, which is very, very impressive. And last but not least, and at the same time, we also see that like what we have learned during the last events, the Lands Department is also adopting Open BIM, Open GIS in some of their territory-wide repository. So also very good momentum for Hong Kong. Last but not least, we also see another board member, Michael, who also passed the exam earlier in the year and then brought in 10 or so of your colleagues from Lighton, who also they pretty much also were so tight that they had to take the colloquium until 12 noon and then took the exam at 3 p.m. Just last week. So all just in time examination and preparation. And again, we also hear that many of you are also thinking about how to make it work not only for your projects in Hong Kong, but also in some cases in the Greater Bay Area and in some global work. Nonetheless, like the last time we met on this stage back in September, we celebrated with many of you who were who were all also very busy, have so much going on, yet you take your own exam and got full score, full mark. Like today, we are also celebrating that these individuals And if any of these individuals are here, would you please mind to stand up? I know some of you are here to be recognized. We have two professionals from the dance department. We have a couple of professionals from Hip Hang. Any of the Hip Hang Full Score team members are here. Please, okay, so some of them here, okay. So please, we'd like to recognize that. And so this is amazing in terms of what you all have done, yeah. And once again, thank you and congratulations. So at this point, I think we'll probably be presenting the certificate that today it's very honorable and very special that we have Ms. Lin, Bernadette Lin, we have Dr. Winnie Tang, we have Mr. Eric Young, we have Mr. Gary Young, President HKABAEIMA Phone, representing Development Bureau, representing SCC, representing Hong Kong HKABAEIMA, to all get on stage and present the qualified individual certificates to those.
Thank you, Dr. Ken. So now we are having a session of certificate presentation. Can we give a big applause to the coming new qualifiers? The first batch of awardees are coming from the Lands Department. Let's welcome Ka-Chun Michael Lau. And then let's welcome Xu Ling Chao. Coming next, let's welcome Chen K. Wong. And Nelson Hon Feng Yan. And Wen Yan Si. And then let's welcome Kima. Last but not least, let's welcome Ka Wai Lau. May the awardees please stay for one moment. So let's take a photo for all the awardees and the guests, please. So let's welcome the next batch of awardees. The coming batch of awardees comes from Lighton. And let's welcome Chi Kin Le. And then Lumirano and Liesa. And then Ka Kwong Lo. And Ka Kim Ma. And then let's welcome Hao King Shik. Let's take a photo first.
大家可以自己想就下啦，係啦。跟住呢邊我就放出嚟。好，OK。好，預備3、2，嚟緊預備3、2，Thank you.
Thank you all awardees. For the next batch of awardees, let's welcome Philip James Dyers. And then Robert Neil Dixon. And then Johnny DiOlio. And then Ken Kwong Yip Wong. And Silman Wong, and last but not least, Philip James Dyers. And the coming batch of awardees are coming from Hip Hang Construction. So firstly, let us welcome Yuk Lee Leo Lai and Chung Ho Ho. Next is Team Leon Terry Chen and Carter Jackie Choi. Last but not least, let's welcome Ka Cheng Mac Ho. Let's have a look first.
好，我哋呢邊呢邊開埋咗。3、2，嚟啫。
Thank you, awardees. Coming next, let's welcome Kim-Hwa Keng Chen. Followed by Ko Chung from Madagascar. And then Shu-Ki Ho. And Chin Hong Kong. And last but not least, Hok Yung Lo, please.
好，咁得望住中間嚇，唔該，係啦。好，OK，預備3、2、1，嚟啫。跳。
The coming batch, let's welcome Hong Hee Lee Soon and Lee Han James Lee. And let's welcome Hui Gary Lee and Hong Chi Vivian Wu. And then Yi Chester Tang. Hardy Joey, please.
Đó mà xin hả? Về nhất đi. Đấy xem thì về nhất đi. Đi tiêu.
And the final batch of awardees are Ngan Chi Ma, Kim Jong Harry Yu, Wang Ho Chai Yi, Chen Hang Kelly Wu, Sim Kim Sui Sun, Hong Yang Esther Yi, and Chen Hei Tommy Ward.
OK，咁呢邊可以近個時段，係啦。跟住嗰幾位咧，可唔可以近最側邊嗰兩位可以近咗啦。叫嚟1、2、2。Thank you.
Congratulations to all our awardees. The 11 awardees, please stay for a moment. This time, PH Construction has gathered 50 staff members to apply for this research. Today, the Executive Director, Engineer Elhong Mok, and Head of BIM, Mr. Billy Wong, has come here to appreciate their collective efforts. Could we now invite Engineer Mok and Billy to the stage? And could all the HKABAEIMA members also come to the stage and take a group photo with us?
好，我哋揾啲高少少嘅可以，有啲男士可以以上去答。嗰幾位咧可以在嗰邊。好，揾多兩位過嚟呢邊，係啦。冇聲，可能要學習。
Okay, so please look at the middle.
我哋咧，越嚟3、2、1，你先問下。OK，越嚟3、2、1。好，thank you，唔該晒。
Thank you, Engineer Mok and Billy, and also thank you, Ada, and all our honorable guests and all the awardees. Thank you. Please have a seat. We will now take a group photo together.
And please be seated. It's okay.
OK，預備3、2、1，嚟真啲。預備3、2。好，開俾啲大嘅啦。Thank you。
So put your thumb up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, featuring today's topic, open data towards a smart city, it is our pleasure to invite several experts in this specialty to share their experiences. To begin, let us welcome the Senior Engineer, North Development Office from CEDD, Engineer HKABAEIMA, and the Technical Director, BIM, Innovative Solution from ACOM, Ms. Karen Le, to share the topic, BIM Horizontal Harmonization for BIM GIS Integration. HKABAEIMA and Ken, please.
I'm supposed to speak in English. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for having us in this meaningful event. We're going to show a few on our study named BIM Horizontal Harmonization for BIM GIS Integration. So I'm Carolina, and this is Ken Leung from AECOM. Myself is working at the North Development Office of CETV, and I'm handling the study. And then I'm also promoting BIM adoption in my office. Well, Karen is the technical director of AECOM's Innovative Solutions team. She has long years of experience in IT, BIM, and 3D related work, and she is involved in various government standards and studies sort of that. So before we're going to talk about the details of our study, I would like to talk about the roadmap for Digital Hong Kong, which DSPO has just mentioned. Back in 2017, the 2017 policy address has committed to develop Hong Kong into a smart city. Later in that year, the ITB Innovation and Technology Bureau published the Hong Kong Smart City Blueprint, in which the adoption of BIM, the common spatial data infrastructure, as well as the 3D digital map was announced. And then later in 2018, the Development Bureau has promulgated the technical circular mandating the use of BIM for public works project with estimates over 3 million. So the government has ambitions to have the full operation of the CSDI portal as well as the 3D digital map by 2022 and 2023 respectively. So how could our study help in turning Hong Kong into a smart city? First of all, I will talk about why I'm involved in this project. We are being tasked to study how the BIM model could be integrated into the GIS system. So back then, we have a new development area project, which is the first phase development of North North new development area. We are having some available design BIM models in hand. And because this is a new development area project, we have wide range of infrastructures involved. Definitely, we have various kinds of highway, roadworks, waterworks, drainage works, as well as what we have listed in the slide. So we are being tasked to use these projects to study how the BIM could be integrated within GIS. So under the study, we have the Policy Bureau, the Development Bureau overseeing the study, and then we have the participation of various works departments under the Development Bureau as listed. And of course, because I've mentioned we're going to support the 3D digital map as well as the CSDI, we have Lensti playing a very important role in the study, and AECOM is our consultancy delivering this study. So our study lasts for about 24 months. We are a little bit behind the schedule, but we're going to wrap up the study shortly. The key objectives of the study is to, like we have listed, to facilitate the effective and efficient information exchange, plus this supports the development of the 3D digital map. So there are 4 main key tasks we are handling as listed in the bubbles. The first one is to formulate a horizontal harmonized BIM standards across the works department. And then we have to revamp that I've mentioned the ready in-hand design models according to the aligned BIM standards. We have also to develop a conversion engine to convert the BIM models into some formats that are GIS system correct. Lastly, we will establish a BIM data repository to host the BIM models as well as the converted values. So I'll pass the time to Ken to talk about the details of the study.
Okay, thank you, Carolina. And again, congratulations to our BIMer. Yeah, this is the second year. I'm sure you will going on, and open will become smart. Thank you. So let's talk about some more technical details in our study. As you can see, since year 2017, the policy addressed that WDS or Works Department that they are starting to adopt BIM into their public works. So at that time, actually, they are based on the CIC BIM standard in year 2015 to build up their BIM requirements for each department. So you can imagine, actually, they are developing their specific BIM requirements for each department that
they can't be aligned because they just want to have something to sustain it. And at that time, we started to our study and we for the works department and also together with CIC to align the same BIM standard to cross all the public works. So that we can build up the BIM horizontal harmonization guidelines for the departments. Within the study here, we started to adopt the declaration and naming mainly, and the aligned abbreviation so that the model naming will become standard and also be machine readable. So this is essential that we can easily, based on the naming, to exchange our data. And somebody will have about the LOIN, which is the ISO 19650. So we also align the information requirement between the works department as well, so that all the aligned BIM models and the information can be converted. The commercial engineer can be converted to some open format, such as the IFC and the CTML. And then we can have an efficient data repository for the information sharing amongst the works department and lands department as well. So we have a study with the UK National Atlas for some naming, and also we are aligned with the latest CIC BIM standard, and so that we can work out some specific topics in the field 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you can see that we have each data field to define the need. All sorts of information be stored in each information field. So horizontally, we make it work. So can it be also work vertically for the actual work? So you can see that we draw field diagrams for the factoration. For the above grade, we have the light green, and for the underground utilities, we have the green, so that you can identify the discipline for the above grade infrastructure work and also the underground utilities. And in the field 3 here, you can see that in order to cover all the works department's requirement, we build up the field 3 for the different works, like the building works, sewage, and landscape as well. So that you can see the 2 main key here is about the field number 3 and number 5. Okay, this is the general overview. Similarly, it works for the highway structure and roads. You can see that based on the vertical configuration diagram, we can also make it work for the highway and roads as well. Okay. Take a look of the sewage. Okay, because the system is sewage, so we will have the sewage pumping station, and also we will have the underground utilities outside the pumping station. So that we can build up to for the information exchange, like we will have the easily based on the naming and the identified information container for the full set models, and as well as we can easily to extract the sewage part from the full model as well. However, for the underground utilities, of course, we also need to take care of the underground utilities, because it will be also an important access for Hong Kong. So because each works department, they will have their main color for their coordination work. So this is the cross department's color that will automatically build in our BIM data repository. Apart from the BIM models, we also need to control the quality of the models. Where should be controlled is about the object. The object, once the object be controlled in a naming manner, the consistent naming, we can also consistent the quality of the models. As I just said, about the LOIN, the ISO information, we also take a look to align with the existing CIC geometry requirements and the information requirements. And also we will have expressed some we call common attributes to across the works department, so that we can have the basic data to be shared. Now, I would like to share how the models look like. So because in this project here, we have several contracts, and as Carolina just said, the projects across all the works departments, like the pumping station, water supply, and the highways and buildings, and the BS as well. So that we can see that in the future, we can exchange our information efficiently within the works departments and lands departments. Maybe some of you will talk about, okay, today is talking about open data. What happened to the open data? So it's about conversion engines. We developed the for open format conversion engines. We can't purely rely on the software to make a big field click to convert to an IFC because the models itself and also have their attributes. And also because each works department, they will have their different requirement for the data mapping. So in that case, we develop our customized IFC files, and so that we can, based on the IFC, to convert to the CTGML, and the successful percentage will come up. So you can see some of the example here. We have the full models here. We also have some IFC examples and CTGML. Basically, their geometry is okay. And of course, it's not as detailed as the original native files. But I think the successful is to support the open format. How about data inside the models? We have some example here is the converted IFC, and with some of our customized attributes being converted as well. And the CTGML. And of course, we understand that the data set between IFC and CTGML, they are not the same. So actually, in our conversion engine, we still need to do some data mapping set between the different formats. We just mentioned we have to have a secured place to store our big models and the information. So recently we have established the BIM data repository in the government cloud infrastructure, and we store the models, and we let the departments to test it. And of course, we will have some integrated function like a dashboard summary, 2D map, 3D visualization platform, and some conversion engines inside. So generally, we have an overview for the overview map. So you can see that at the right-hand side here is talking about the object that we build up from the consistency naming, so that we can have the objects to support all the modeling. And all these objects here, we will contribute to CIC as a single portal to share to the industry. So that all of you, say, for example, if you need to do a pump, or if you need to do a gantry, actually you can chat with the CIC BIM portal in the future. And then we based on the guideline, we did a VRAM action. Why? As we just make the guideline across the department, we need to test it, whether it's really as far as practicable, so that we manage the size, and we manage how to do the models as the future standard. That's why we have to rebrand all the models to the horizontal aligned standard. Okay, so I pass the time to Catalina. So thank you, Ken. Maybe I'll use a little bit of time to wrap up the rest of the study as of today. We have mentioned the BIM harmonization guideline has been formulated, and indeed it was promulgated within the government departments. The works departments I've mentioned under the Development Bureau. And I understand one key thing is that our harmonized guideline has been aligned with the CIC's latest BIM standards. So what I mean is that the guidelines to download from CIC website has been aligned with what we have done. And then a publication version of the guideline would be is being handled by the Works branch of the Bureau. It will be published to the practitioners shortly. So stay tuned. And then about the design build models, we have already revamped all of our design build models according to the standards that we have formulated, and we are under the final round of comments and from the users, which is the Works department. Regarding the BIM objects, we have created over 800 BIM objects according to our online standards. We're going to share with CIC of those over 800 BIM objects shortly. Probably you will have the list of our BIM objects be seen in CIC's BIM portal by end of this year. So we are looking at this target. About the conversion engine, which is, I think, the key part related to today's event, about the open data, the standard. We are doing the final fine-tuning works. We have received quite some comments from various government departments, and we are trying to do the data mapping and fine-tuning the mapping so that the conversions we can contain as many information as practical. So the second last bullet is about the BIM data repository. We have actually established that. We are going through some user acceptance tests. We would like to roll that out shortly in early next year. So lastly, our study will also document the lessons learned and some recommendations towards future information sharing. And I think the last document will be helpful to both government departments as well as the industry practitioners. So lastly, just to echo my introduction, our study is to enrich the land information so that we could help play a step in developing the 3D digital map as well as the common spatial data infrastructure developments. Last but not least, we hope our study could help turning Hong Kong into a smart city and a digital. So this is all that we would like to share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carolina and Ken. Please take a seat. Coming next is the experience sharing section from Building Smart. We have just finished the big event of the Building Smart International Virtual Summit 2021. Finalists of the awards program have been presenting in the winners circle of the summit. Before the judging panel select the winners of each category. Now, a team led by Professor Wilson Liu, Dr. Frank Sher, and Dr. Jin Ying Su at iLab of the Faculty of Architecture at the University of Hong Kong wins in the Professional Research category of the Building Smart International Awards 2021 with the project Open BIM, opening the gates for BIM and blockchain integration. So, may I now invite Dr. Frank Sher to deliver the speech about Open BIM and blockchain integration. Frank, please.
President, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Frank, and first, congratulations to the Hong Kong HKABAEIMA, the second anniversary, and myself feels pretty lucky and honored because actually I was in the Beijing summit in the same discussion room like 2 years ago, and also I was actually participated the first anniversary in person last year. And this is my, lucky moment to share something we recently submitted to the BSI award as a finalist, and to make it the presentation as original flavor. So we reused the materials and also the template. And for today's topic, No, it is an open data format and an open data structure of the IFC to enable us for doing the research, like integrating the BIM and the blockchain. Actually, people around the world, they're doing the integration in two ways. One way is we can put the blockchain information inside BIM, right? So we can add the hash code and the code chain into the BIM property. And alternatively, some researchers like us, we're trying to put the BIM inside the blockchain. Okay, let's see. What do we do to realize this? So first, we have recently two very iconic and hot topics. One is BIM, the other is blockchain. So from my personal understanding, the BIM is actually a digital tools for us to resolve the challenges in construction management. And alternatively, the blockchain offers us a distributed application. So the two technologies, they are attacking the same challenge but from different perspectives. One is the digitalization, the other is the distribution of the collaboration. And different organizations have witnessed, they have vision that both technologies are pretty useful and should be integrated. And however, apart from all those promises like material provenance, supply chain status, visualization, smart contracts, and the global procurement, all those benefits, we're still facing challenges to integrate BIM and the blockchain. The first challenge comes from the interoperability between the existing commercial BIM software and blockchain. And although software vendors like Autodesk and Archicad, they allow us to use the APIs or the add-ons, but actually the functions are quite limited. And the second challenge is from the information redundancy with directly storing the BIM model on blockchain. So we know in the real projects, the model can easily goes up to 500 megabytes, sometimes 1 gigabyte. Let's say if we have one version of the BIM every day, and in a year, there will be 100 gigabytes of models. So how can we store such huge data into or onto the blockchain? That's a challenge. Third challenge from the resemblance and swiftness, retrieving the information from blockchain. If the blockchain itself is very huge and redundant, to use it, retrieve, and search the information will be a challenge. So actually, our solution is called Open BIM-based blockchain integration, OB. And the basic idea is we will wish to restore and retrieve the full BIM models in IFC format on chain. So it is an extended study based on a paper published 1 year ago. The idea is the Rome wasn't built in 1 day, so it wasn't the BIM. Like both of the geometric information and also the non-geometric information, just do it as an incremental improvement through the project course, right? So what we need to do to integrate is to find the changes, like the difference between versions, and then we can realize that. Okay, so we know that the IFC have a very cool referencing system, and somebody called IDs or the GUIDs of GUI. So they use the GUID to reference different property, different component, different attributes, and different relationships. But in a commercial BIM system, like the Autodesk Revit, they only keep a consistent naming of the GUID for the major components, like a window, like a door. It has a consistent GUID. But for the property set, for the relations, they only set the randomize for every export. So we have a same BIM model we make the minor change or sometimes no change, and then you do the export, you find that over a half of the IFC lines are randomized. So that is why we propose this semantic layer. We would wish look into the real meanings, or we call it the semantic. We find the difference of the semantics, and then we call it as a semantic differential transaction, or SDT. So starting from the commercial beam, we'll have the open beam as a replica, and then convert them into the IFC JSON file or the IFC XML file. And the semantic difference calculation, and we can have the incremental change. Based on the incremental change, we can store all the incremental changes onto the blockchain. And if we wish to have the revert all the real-time data from the blockchain, and we can reverse sequence. Starting from blockchain, then we can have the changes over time. And if we wish to have the any given time of the model version, then we can accumulate all the changes up to that time point. And then we have reverse the IFC JSON file back to IFC and back to the commercial beam authoring tool. So then we realize, because in the current industry, we have this ecosystem software for BNM. We also have the ecosystem for the blockchain. So what we do is we design a middleware, like a middleware to realize our process map and call it the OD system. So in detail, this middleware tracks the versions from version 1, starting from version 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we compute the semantic difference in the 1, 2 until V, and then changes. So we also have a web interface monitoring the changes and also the active. So we can select from the dots there to select the version. And then here, we can visualize the changes and for every component. And here is the interface for the blockchains monitoring as a server side. Okay, so we tested this new middleware in a real project and act as the middleware to the design phase and also the construction phase. So the major software we're using here is the IFC JSON as OpenShell, Vision, and Autodesk Suite, and or in-house developed apps for construction project. The pilot project was Use Hongzhukeng student residence. It's an iconic MSc project because every MSc module is actually an asset. So we wish to track the changes and track the real-time status using this OBE system. So here are some screenshots. So for this component marked in yellow, we can actually select the different status. And here is also another innovation in that for every uploaded real-time photo, we do not put the photo directly onto the blockchain. And we do either just add the hash code to the blockchain. What we did is we first have a lower resolution snapshot. And with that, the thumbnail snapshot, and we can compress the 10 megabytes photo down to the 100 kilobytes. And we store the thumbnail into the blockchain and together with our IFC changes. So after weeks, we have updates of the component and updates like installed in the furnitures, and then start of the delivery, and then yeah, it's arrived at Hong Kong. Okay, so for evaluation, we tested like 3 different categories. The first is the compression ratio. So after testing, we find the compression ratio. So by detecting the changes, we may have around 1 to 1,000 compression. And the second, we test the lossless encoding. And we combine different encoding systems and find the most efficient encoding is the JZ phase 85 to IFC JSON. And the third evaluation goes to the speed. Actually, the speed of restoration from the blockchain was around 500 megabytes per second. And for reference, that number was the limit of the hard disk. So in conclusion, we have 3 innovations. First is the tidying up the block FC or BLM and block integration. The second is inventing an innovative method to changes of blockchain coding. And third is we have a new approach to retrieve the information and restore it without any loss. And the advantages, the first one is that we have the open beam visualization platform. And secondly, we have a very high compression ratio. And thirdly, we have very quick restoration of the BLM fully from the blockchain using the IFC JSON format. And some future strategy directions and the key participants. So here I would like to add 1 new page here. So the result is we got the winner of the professional category. And to further explain the future directions, the first one is we found the performance was still unsatisfactory and we may improve the speed a bit further. The second is regardless of the successful of the OB application in that specific project, it's possible to generalize IFC versioning system or any other projects. And in my imagination is we may have a cloud drive-like service. That means in our system Windows, and we have a new drive, hard drive, and if we drop the IFC file into the drive, it looks like it stored a new full IFC file, and actually it only occupied the small changes on your disk. So by doing that, we can really realize a very high efficient IFC storage and also data retrieving. The third direction is perhaps we need to look into the real root cause of the IFC exchange. That is the chaotic ID. So if we have a new extended IFC schema or standard, like we have the regulations for the naming, and we can perhaps resolve the problem from the bottom. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Frank, and congratulations to your team's achievement. Coming next, we are delighted to invite the Associate Head in Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, Co-Director of BIMLab and Associate Director of Great Smart Cities Institute at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Professor Jack Chen. His sharing topic is Open BIM for structural design and prefabrication of RC structures. Jack, please.
Okay, and good afternoon, everyone. And Congratulations to ABEIMA, happy birthday, and it's actually exciting to see he's 2 years old. Today I'm very happy to share with you, is there any clicker? Okay. So today I'm very happy to share with you the submission that we have made early this year for the Green Smart Award. And in fact, this project basically is about application of the open beam or the structural design and prefabrication. And in fact, we learned many lessons from the process, and we hope to share with you. And also, this project actually is funded by CIC Research Fund. And although maybe some of you have heard of this research, in this presentation, I will focus more on the open beam part. And first of all, okay. So first of all, this is the team members. You can see this is actually a joint effort between Hong Kong University and also NUS, National School of University of Singapore, who was the student at HKABAEIMA University of team, and then now became assistant professor at NUS, Vincent. We actually started with a wish list. We wonder whether at the design stage, we actually can have a rebar model that can be generated easily. We wonder whether the rebar drawing can be generated quickly, and also the bar bending schedule can also be easily generated so that we can have measurement much faster, and also the rebar model will also be we call it DFMA. When we design, we also consider the manufacturing and assembly. So with that effort, we try to see whether we can use open beam to consider this one. So basically, we found that currently IFC models has not been used to solve the interoperability or the whole structural part, the structural design and prefabrication. So we actually want also to use the open beam for the algorithm for the clash-free design, and also use some kind of open beam techniques, for example, like MVD and IDM, so that we can apply this one for the rebar supply chain. And lastly, we also find out that when we use the rebar model for fabrication, IFC actually is not enough. So that's why we would like to extend IFC. And that's why here in our effort, we try to use different kinds of the Green Smart standards to support this kind of different problems. And this is actually what we are trying to do, 4 problems, and as I mentioned, actually to address the previous 4 objectives. Basically, the idea is that given the architectural model, whether we can get the rebar model, rebar beam model, and then with the rebar beam model, whether we can get the schedule, and also the drawing, and also the machine code that we can actually, hopefully, we can bypass the drawing, and then we can go directly to the fabrication. So, first of all, we need to formulate this problem into an optimization problem. Basically, for example, for rebar, if you have some idea about the rebars, for example, for beam, we will have the top bar, bottom bar, and stirrups. We can formulate this one into an optimization problem, and then we can try to use the like genetic algorithm, something like that, to solve it. And then we also try to design something that will have no clash. And so to do so, we need to consider like the soft clash and hard clash, and we need to get the geometry on the beam model. And now we're talking about IFC. Okay. In IFC, there's a specific way to represent the geometry, the coordinates, and we find out that, for example, when we get the information from IFC, it may be different from that we obtain from Revit in terms of radius. Okay, for rebar, do we use a center line, or do we use the, for example, when we calculate the cover, do we use a center line to calculate the cover, or the rightmost side to calculate the cover? So this is something that we need to know the data structure and the meaning of the data so that we can get the accurate calculation. We try to use the OpenBeam to support different interoperability, and these are the software that we try to support. For example, we use the Autodesk Revit to draw the beam model, but at the same time, we support like DTAS, which is a very common use structural engineering software, and we also use Robo, and support of Revit Robo is simple, okay, and then we also use SES. SES is also software that we normally use for rebar detailing in Hong Kong. And then we also use Dynamo to draw the rebar model with Python. We also tag with Python structure, and then also link with Excel. So we can see that using IFC, we actually can have all this information, extract this information from BIM, and then feed to different software. Okay, and this is why we actually want to promote the use of the OpenBeam standard. And this is actually the software ecosystem map, which also will be required for the submission in the this month awards and submission. And we can see that from the architectural model, it's actually IFC, and then we also get the information from Excel so that we can have Excel file storing all the rebar layout, the diameters, etc. Then we can use Dynamo and Python, and then we can draw the and then we use optimization and then draw the clash-free rebar model. And this one actually shows the roadmap, or actually we call the process map. And in terms of the OpenBeam standard, okay, here shows actually the different process, and also we have the corresponding ID. Okay, I think all of you actually have graduated, right? So you now know what is Omni class. Okay, so all these actually are only class, okay, referring to the specific topic, okay, specific terms. And with that, then all these processes will actually mention about what's the information need, and then also what is the role, okay, who will be responsible for that. And this is actually illustration of how we can use OpenBeam standards to illustrate the whole information requirement, okay. And as I mentioned, we found out that the current IFC is not sufficient to store all the information for rebar. So that's why here in this study, first of all, I think now you also understand IFC much better. I don't know whether you have any understanding of the entire IFC before the exam. IFC is huge and have a lot of entities. In this project, we only have used like 27 IFCs entities, which already cover the majority of the elements like beam, column, wall, and slab. In this case, we did not consider like stairs or others like windows, etc. Okay, but in the future, we may consider extension of this study like the foundation and stairs, something like that. As I mentioned, we found out that IFC is not sufficient for application for rebar, and that's why we need to extend the IFC schema. And the red color basically is the entities or the attributes that we have extended the IFC. And this is something that I hope maybe through like maybe Dr. Calvin Cam or through this platform, we can have better connection with this international so that we can support rebar representation with addition of this kind of IFC extension. Okay, and then we can support the export of the prefabrication standard, which is the BBPS. And with that, then
Detailer assists the users to perform rebar detailing design.
Okay, how can I view it? Okay, so basically, I just want to show with this one, then we can
Optimization for columns, beams, slabs, and walls using SAT structural analysis results.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And then here actually shows the plugin that we have developed, and you can see that with this one. Okay, it is kind of frozen. Anyway, so this is actually the video to show that we can have we have developed a plugin that extract information from IFC, the geometry information, and then we can feed this one to a MATLAB code, which try to calculate the optimized rebar for different location, the diameter, and then the quantity, and then we can also measure what will be the fixed end or the shape curve, something like that. And then we can also use this one. Okay, so we can also use this one to export the BBS. This one is the IFC schema, and then run with the IFC rebar model. Then we can export to Dynamo, and then we can have the code of the BBS. Okay. And then we also need to understand BBS because BBS actually is another kind of the open standard. Although it's not building smart, but this is also a bunch of data which actually capture the geometry of the bending of the rebar, quality, something like that. We try to map this data from IFC to all this. And we try to also consider the IFC terminology and see how, as I mentioned, we could extend the IFC terminology so that we can capture the rebar and then export to refabrication. And then this is some results based on the rebar IFC, the rebar B model. Then we can extract this one, and then when we use the Dynamo code, we can quickly generate BBS code that can be used for prefabrication. And this one will be helpful for we call the beam for fabrication or beam for the digital fabrication, and this could be one of the consideration. And now we're trying to use IFC result. Okay, and with this, then we will generate the Excel file, and this Excel file have all the lines. Okay, this Excel file with all the lines that can be fed to the machine directly for the prefabrication of the rebar. So this is actually what I would like to talk about. But before I finish, I actually also want to quickly share with us, with all of us, about some of other open beam open beam initiatives that we are working on. One is we try to use open beam for digital twin, open beam for robotics, and open beam for blockchain. So in maybe 3-4 minutes, I would like to share this one. One, maybe you have heard that we are using and we have digital twin for the entire Hong Kong University campus. What we try to do is, we try to import the graphic model and also the native model and also the IFC model on some platform like Arches and see whether they behave the same. And I think maybe Canon will have a lot of experience like that. We found that, for example, for IFC and Revit, we found that some entities or some attributes have different names. Okay, that we need to map them. If in our GIS model, some actually come from IFC, some come from Revit, we need to do some mapping between them. And similarly, if we want to consider BIM and GIS, we also find out that there's some differences between the attribute information. And this is something that we need to align. We talk about harmonization. Basically, these are the attributes that we really need to understand so that we can really harmonize the models from different formats imported to the same platform. And this is Hong Kong University and the beautiful campus. And you can see that these are different examples that we try to use IFC and import for GIS platform, okay, like this. And then we also try to show the walkability and also the pedestrian count in this kind of the platform. Another initiative about OpenBeam that I would like to share with you is we try to use OpenBeam to support robotics, because if we have the B model, then we can support how to train the robot to walk or to operate within the built environment. So you can see that the input basically is the IFCB model, which shows the built environment. And then we also consider the UGV model, that is the cars, and then the UGV evaluation. Then we also assign different tasks. And then with this one, then we can get the, first of all, we try to get the built-in information from IFC, and then try to extract all these IFC curves, and then we can get the built-in geometry. And with this one, then we have the built-in geometry, and we try to put this one as the barrier map, okay? And then we can operate the robot inside, okay? And after that, then we also consider the front robot, the UGV, the configuration, and you can see that we also consider different views. Okay, and this will be applicable for like even shopping malls. Now we see many robots. We consider the views, etc. And then with this one, then we can have something like this. If now this the building geometry, all the walls actually come from IFC. Okay, and with the IFC, then we can have the robot model, and then we can see what is the trajectory for the robot to walk inside. And for different configuration of the views in the robot, and the path will be different. Okay, and we can also use this one to test the different algorithm. And this is something that actually can enhance user privacy. The last one I want to share with you all is the OpenBeam. Actually, Professor Fraser has talked about the integration of Beam with blockchain and IFC with blockchain. And we actually consider also the use of IFC to apply to CDD, which also is a top topic. The concept of that is CDD, we have the work in progress, we have the share, we have the archive, something like that. How we can also use IFC and then with blockchain. You can see that different people may have their own work in progress, but they have the same chain. Okay, this chain only is a record, but it does not really have the full document. Full document will be controlled by different people. Okay, with the same chain, then they cannot argue that someone changed and then we've done notice. And then with all this concept, then behind the scene is IC. And we also now consider another standard called BCF. I think you all know what it is now. Because whenever there's a change of the IFC model, we use BCF to store that. And then BCF will be blockchain, so BCF will capture the changes of the model, and then we blockchain this one. So that we will not have a record of all these changes of the models, and this one will be reversible. And then the last is that if we have different version of the model, then we can use, you can see the architecture, the structural end, etc. Each of them have their own model and they correspond BCF. And then we try to use open to consider all this. So this one just quickly share with you. Actually, OpenBeam can be used in many different applications. And we actually hope, very happy to see why use OpenBeam in our industry in the future. So thank you again for this opportunity, and I would like to pass the time to Alexi. Thank you very much.
Please be stated, Jack. Now we will have the appreciation of the certificate to give to present it to Jack. Thank you, Ada. Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Ada. Thank you. In the coming sharing, we have invited Managing Director of Advanced Construction Information Development, ACID, Architect David Fong, to share with us some highlights from the Building Smart International Virtual Summit. Please show our welcome to David.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and happy birthday to HKABAEIMA. I'm the Building Smart International Committee Chairman, and responsible for communication with the BSI International. Now, most of us will actually know that the Building Smart International actually has two summits in the year. One in the springtime, one in the autumn time, right? Now, you look at the screen here, it is the advertisement from the Winter Summit Autumn 2021, which just passed, and it was spent over the end of September to early October, and actually Building Smart International has these two summits every year. Now, I use here as sort of time to actually to bring out some highlights and what's happening, what had happened throughout this summit, to review what's the trend, what's the direction from a global perspective, right? Now, as you can see, the World Summit spent actually 5 full days, okay, 5 full days, sorry, 10 full days. This is impossible for me to actually go through every single presentation, right? So, but I just highlight several important issues and just a flash of the important aspect throughout the virtual summit. By the way, all of us are actually welcome to join the summit online because of the pandemic, and so the next one will be happening in I think it's March in Rome. If we are able to travel, we can travel to Rome. If not, online with summit. Now, over the 10 days that I have attended, to be frank, I cannot attend 10 full days. Okay, I attend about half of them, and actually I can review it in other times as well. Now, to me, I just would like to bring out 3 main aspects as my general impression towards this summit. IFC, many speakers just mentioned about this term already. I think most of us will know about this. Now, IFC 4.3 was just released, okay, and what's contained in there. And the second part is there has been quite a number of emphasis onto the asset management now. Apart from the design and also the construction now, the whole world is moving into this information into the FM arena. And thirdly, Jack just mentioned about the ECF format, which is a collaboration format between different parties during the design and construction and even in the FM stage. Again, 3.0, which is something just released several months ago. So these are the big trends, big directions that we talked about. Now, again, I cannot go through every single details, and just a flashback in all these major areas. So a slide is highlighting that for the IFC 4.3 center is based on or built up from the IFC 4.2. Now, this you can see the history is spanning from 2014 to 2015. Now, again, it covers quite a big areas. If you look at the breakdown of the IFC, IFC is a collective term, but when we look into the details, we're talking about the IFC alignment, the architecture, the bridge, rail, road, port, and waterway, and then rail harmonization. Now, all these small subdivision of IFC, the reason why they keep on developing is every single day the coverage of IFC will be extended from different areas. From the name, you look at it, so it's getting more and more coverage, or more specific. Okay, I'm sure some of these terms will be relevant to you as a practitioner in the industry. So just stay tuned and on the development of these new standards. And the other aspect, you can see that it is alignment with the ISO standard. Okay, ISO 19650, having all these terms, appointing parties, counterparties, and all these international standards. Now, the direction of IFC now is also taking that into account. Right. And focus on the asset owner relationship. Quite a lot of the coverage the people discussed on this area, talking about from the design into construction and later on to the FM. Now, because there are a lot of discussion, a lot of topics covered in this virtual summit, I would actually suggest you, if you're interested, you can go to the Building Smart webpage. You can have all these review of all these topics defined in there. Now, Apart from these three main areas, now I just have a flash of some of the specific areas. Now, some of you may know that apart from the general discussion or the direction, there are more specific areas, namely into 8 number of rooms. I'll go through very quickly, go through one by one, and you can see what is contained or what's been discussed in a global setting. So, airport, building room, construction room, infrastructure, product, railway, regulatory, and technical rooms. Now, some of these topics are actually related to, quite significantly related to our work. We just mentioned about the government policy and our, I guess, just mentioned about 2 to 3, then maybe get involved in the approval process. So, and this is exactly what's been discussing in the regulatory room. How in the whole world is actually looking into the approval process in terms of the BIM submission and how to automate all these checking on these issues. Now, very quickly, just grab a few slides with you. Say, for example, on the airport projects. Very specifically on the airport project, how to use the open BIM standard on the airport area. Now, without going into the details, but you can see that a roadmap towards the direction. Right. Okay. So the roadmap into different areas, the green text is actually those has been achieved by an international group of people working towards this IFC standard. And of course, in the orange one, there's still more steps to go further. And what that means is, in the coming years, there will be more and more progress on specific areas. And if you look at the list of objects, you can see that this the names, the terms, it is specifically to the airport projects. So that's why IFC need to be specialized into different subdivisions. Okay, that's why we have 4.3 something. Okay, now building roads. Now those highlights, I just would like to mention about all these topics that we discussed. The one highlighted in red, you can see the direction of the people talking in these areas. So you can, it's on the FM side and open side, and also the BCF, issue management side. Now, the timeline to develop in the FM areas. Now, there's been quite a lot of a discussion. Actually, to my impression, nearly about 25–30% of these topics are on the FM. In particular, we are a group of judges, international judges, judging on the more than 100 number of BIM award, and quite a number of them are actually into this FM area, which is, I think, in Hong Kong we are a little bit lagging behind. At the moment, we're looking at the design and construction mostly, right? BCF. Now, BCF is a format that is a collaborate among different stakeholders, where there's designers and the designers to designer, or the designer to contractor, or contractor to contractor. When people are using different formats, all right. So this BCF development, they talk about the implication of 3.0, and talk about the issue management on existing buildings. We seldom talk about the existing buildings. We talk about new projects most of the time. How does BCF in this case link apply in the area of the existing building? So in the summary, okay, you can see that in the summary and conclusion for this room, BCF can be used for operation and maintenance. It's something I don't think we have actually in Hong Kong think about that before. All right, so just have a glimpse of the direction of the international. So there will be added value to the owner, and also this is to facilitate the understanding and navigation of the issues related to the operation side. Okay. So, and that will be use cases in development phases. Now, construction side, we again we are very familiar with the 4D, 5D application. Most of the time when we think about 4D and 5D, we talk about a certain product, a certain software that help us to illustrate the 4D and 5D. But in here, there are studies that they're looking into how to apply this 4D and 5D in the IFC application. Right? So the IFC endpoint, including the time factor. Again, this is something not too many people talk about on using IFC to do 4D and 5D. And also you can see that the time factor, the task and the cost value, time and cost putting together in the IFC. Okay, now I'm among with all these basic quantities as well. All right, it looks pretty complicated, but when we are into this area, and then if you put aside, we are not using a certain software to perform 4D and 5D, how can we use the IFC to cross link between different platforms? Okay, infrastructure rooms, open beam infrastructure from the owner perspective, and I like this diagram because actually we seldom talk about in the civil and infrastructure side using the open beam before. But now people are looking into linking the airport, the building, the railway, the whole city together in the open format, and you can see the red characters, fire safety, beam, and GIS. This is not only Hong Kong, right? The whole world is talking about this BI and GIS integration. Okay, cost benefit. As you can see that in one of the topics, they're very specialized in talking about the geotechnical in terms of the IFC tunnel. All right, against the area that the IFC will be specialized in tunnels, structures, and MEP. All right, the tunnel workflow. To be honest, I cannot comprehend all this technicality, right? But just a general coverage, you can see how the people are actually reacting to the whole open beam coverage. Now, I personally have worked in an NPR before, and I can comprehend how difficult and how tedious with all these processes, and how people are actually looking into how to use the IFC to do the geometries and deliverables, right? Now, another area which is we started to touch on at least in Hong Kong is talking about the products, right? So we are not just talking about the design, but we need to realize that using construction materials. We buy a window, we buy a chair, for example. So there are a lot of materials, a lot of objects that we need to actually buy that is not just in the virtual world. How do we link up the life cycle of the product from the manufacturing in the factory throughout the logistics into the actual building? Again, this is an area how IFC standard was linked from the product into the project. Okay, and so that will involve a lot of geometric information, numerical information. Sometimes we look at the barcode, right? We've been around for many years, and we know that it exists. But how can that barcode, or how can the coding system related to the building process? Now, in this room, in this area, people are looking at the linkage between the product and project. IFC4, okay. So we can see that in terms of the materials, the building materials using IFC4, the linking, and also the software, the CDE, the API that link them to break through all the different platforms using that. Okay, railway rooms. I'm sure we we all address that the fastest development in the railway in terms of country must be China. So actually, China is actually taking a lead in a worldwide position in defining the IC Center for Rail, and also you can see that all these talks is actually by China. And you can see the stakeholders, okay, the biggest stakeholders in China. And just flash you, that's what's happening in the whole world. And to address the problem, okay, now you can see that the policy that the key issue is solved. Now, in the railway arena, there are a lot of issues, a lot of technical issues. So people just address it, raise up the issue in their field, and people work as a team to address several issues. Some can be addressed, some cannot be addressed yet. So just flash out all, some of the issues mentioned. How actually it's quite happened here, how the train get turned and then a certain angle, and how to calculate all these the length, the parameter by using IFC. Now, bear in mind, some of these are actually derived from the China experts, okay, and that becomes the international standard in the IFC. For rail, this comes for rail, but in terms of technology, it's very, very difficult to tackle. Using beam software, using beam software is quite difficult to do it for the rail system. Right, so spatial interfaces. Okay, now regulatory rules. So this is talking about the approval, the design that produced from the designer need to go through the approval process. We have building approval, we have master plan approval. On this screen here, it's quite a lot of discussion on elsewhere. Mainly here you can see that Denmark, Austria, Norway, Chile, South Korea, and Singapore. How do they in their own country deal with this approval process? In fact, if you look at the roadmap, they're talking about automated regulatory process. So the submission of a design to the governing body, instead of using human eyes to judge, to make the decision, well, there's some automated process where we can actually push a little bit further. May not be 100% yet, but there's several maintained and many processes which can be automated. So you can see that there's so-called the low-hanging fruit, advanced, and also long-term ambition. So the roadmap is clear. The easily achieved area in the low-hanging fruit, how to do it one by one, step by step. Now, you can see from the list there, unfortunately, Hong Kong was not involved yet, right? Not yet. But there are, you can see the submission model. What does it mean, the submission model? It's the model, how is it related to the reference model, the design model? Okay, these are a lot of processes involved. Of course, it's not only from the technical point of view, but also get involved in the regulatory bodies. That need to get involved and discuss. Now, in the Building Smart International, there are governments, there are people from other countries that get involved in this process and come up with some sort of automated process. Now, that involves, you can see, just on the front of the slide, the site plan and some massing studies, and also some building studies. You can see that people are working on the LOI, LOG, LD-I, LD-G, same thing, but this is correct Russian, right? And for example, how to break down the several objects into a certain format, and those formats are going to be assessed automatically according to the certain law and regulation, right? Okay, so some definition in here for the submission. You can see the topics. Okay, people discuss it, and we have checking rules automatic check rules, partial automatic check rules, and supporting check rules. Now, it is not conclusive yet, of course, but this is the path that in terms of the open into the IoT, people are looking into this area, and which is an international collaborative effort to put together into a automated process. Of course, there will just some flash of the studies on the automatic check rules, how to detect these issues according to whether it complies with the law and regulations, right? Some partial automatic rules and some supporting checks. We define so the design model and the submission model, under what sort of format, what sort of requirements submitted to the government, and then with all these automatic checking still going on. All right, now the last room, I think the speaker Chad and also mentioned, okay, the IoT JSON, which is again is a direction for moving the information into the internet, into the web browser format, so that information can get across, not only say on your own machine, but using the internet to link together. Now, technical rooms is something really technical. I'm talking about programming, about these keywords, and I as a building professional cannot comprehend, to be honest, right? With all these now, again, because the last one I want to share is on this PCF 3.0, which has just rolled out. You can see the roadmap, and people are actually defining the API. Now they have the standard there. How do the different software actually using this linkage to PCF 3.0? So that to facilitate the communication. So there are major changes in here versus the 2.1 or 2.2. Okay, so basically BCF stands for the team collaboration format. We are using different platforms and we are making issues, we're making comments. How do we communicate from one platform into another? Now, the last thing, okay, new concept, open CDE. Okay, in here, a couple of months ago in July, we talked about the CDE collaborative. We did mention about this open CDE. Now, I was in here, one of the 9 vendors of CDE. But CDE and CDE, they don't talk. Right? Now, B and CDE, they talk. Now we come to a point where CDE and CDE don't talk. So, the PSI is talking about open CDE concept. So the different platform of CDE need to talk. Okay? So people are developing this concept and also the API. If you look at the some of the big guys, well, they are software developers, they're looking into there's a collaboration effort regarding the API, and of course, on the platform there. And they can talk, right? So the open CDE API documents of the API is available. Now with the link here, now probably I will end up by showing a very quick video, which is demonstrating the just 2 minutes. Okay.
Hi, and welcome to the Open CDE API presentation. In this video,
Just 3 minutes on that.
To ensure lossless data exchange between all disciplines across the entire life cycle of the building. You'll see Oracle's ANX, Celebri, and ArchiCAD in action, demonstrating a proof of concept prototype that is not yet available for commercial use. Please note that other Building Smart members are also most welcome to participate in this development initiative. Managing models during design coordination can be time-consuming and lead to multiple versions of the truth. Now with the CDE API, you can enable faster process and reduce cycle times. To start, let's look at the direct connection from the authoring tool to the CDE. In ArchiCAD, a model author is ready to publish an updated version of the model. They can choose to connect to ACANX and log in. Now the model updates can be seamlessly published. With a click of the button, the model is published to ACANX. Inside the CDE, the model version is available to be accessed and viewed on the project. With all the model versions ready for coordination, an analysis tool can easily access all the models. In Solibri, the models are downloaded directly from ACANX. The quality checks are then run to automatically validate and identify the results that need to be addressed. For this coordination cycle, the high priority results are raised as BCF issues. Now the BCF issues are raised, these design issues need to be distributed amongst the design team for resolution. From Solibri, the design issues are directly pushed to ACANX, with the correct assignees being notified that they have a task to action. The design issues are now available in the CDE to view, navigate, update, and report on.
So it's a collaboration between three
Issues
platforms.
are also available and ready to be resolved directly in the authoring tool. In ArchiCAD, the same issues are viewed and the model author can be taken to the exact location with a single click. The design issues are resolved and the issues updated directly within ArchiCAD with any additional comments. At this point, the entire design team is aware of the progress of the coordination.
So it's a connection between ACANX, ArchiCAD, and Solibri. Okay, using the BCF format that connect all these together, so the same content can appear on different platforms. Right. So okay. Without going into further details.
To complete the coordination cycle,
the last bit, going back to the design.
to ensure the checks are now resolved. With the CDE API, projects can seamlessly manage the flow of models during coordination.
All right, now the story will go on. It's just a demonstration. It's that it's not yet commercialized, right? It's still a study, but with the CDE, with the BCF here, you can see that people are interested in bringing through the barrier between different platforms. Okay, now and that's it on my review and a very quick time. If you're interested in the web page and all these materials are there, and you can see the all the directions that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Building Smart is always taking initiative to promote open data through designing professional certifications and organizing competitions. Currently, being the Hong Kong chapter, HKABAEIMA is going to organize the first ever Open BIM Award in Hong Kong, and we cordially invite all professional teams and institutes to join this event. Coming next, Professor Jack Chang will share more details about the award. Jack, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Today is essentially a very fruitful and fruitful day. I learned a lot from presentation, and it's also very exciting to see so many of you have got a P-Cert, professional certification, accreditation. So, we actually launched Hong Kong Open BIM OpenGIS Award because we found out that already have some critical mass of the people who already have basic understanding of open beam. And we also see some projects, research project, industry projects already have this kind of open beam concept. And that's why actually the board of the ABEIMA think that this is actually the right time to start Hong Kong Open Beam OpenGIS Award. And in following, I will just give you a very brief introduction, and then if you have more information, then you can contact us. Basically, the objective is that we would like to promote the Open Beam OpenGIS and also to recognize some of the best practices in the application of Open Beam and OpenGIS in the industry throughout the whole life cycle, and to introduce assets. And there are two main categories. One is the Open Beam OpenGIS Project Award, and one is the Open Beam OpenGIS Research Award. And that means actually it will affect all of us, no matter academia or the industry practitioners. For the judging panels, we have the 5 judging panel members, Architect Ada Fong, Professor Dr. Kevin Kang, Architect David Fong, and Engineer Francis Leung, and Surveyor Michael Wang. And you can see that they are the leaders in being included in Open Beam. I believe that they actually will have a fair evaluation of all the submissions. And for the judging criteria, I think that you would like to know more about how to get the award or how it will be evaluated, right? So for the judging criteria, basically, we would like to see how the project, in one case, the industry project or the research project will effectively or innovatively use Open Beam to support interoperability. And this kind of the judging criteria will be similar to the Beauty Smart Award. And particularly for details, we have 2 different judging criteria for 2 award categories. For the project award, basically we will consider the project significance and achievement, and the Open Beam OpenGIS claim, and also the evidence. To be specific, for example, I don't mention all the details, but for example, for the significance, we would like to see what will be the differences of the use of the Open Beam with the core practice, and also what will be the achievement. And for the Open Beam OpenGIS claim, basically will be also related to the regional and open standard, and also the benefit, and also the innovation and further improvement. And for the evidence, we would like to, so the submission need to consider what are the software and also the process map and the metric. And for the research award, it's similar but a little bit different. It will focus more on the 4 criteria: significance, achievement, and research method, evidence, and also validation. So for this one, and for significance is similar. It talk about the academic contribution, the achievement, and research method talks about the application and also the integration of information and applicability, suitability, or the evidence of the Open Beam will be similar to the project award. And then for funding, then we need to consider the validation. For material for submission, basically will be 2 things. One will be the online registration form, and then second will be additional material. Additional material includes images, no more than 10 images. And also, you can have videos, but cannot be too long. Okay, I think the judging panel will not have so much time to watch all the videos, so no more than 20 minutes. And then also also have the poster videos and this will be similar to the Beauty Smart Award, okay, the international one. And then the key dates, this one will be important for all of you. So the submission deadline will be February 21st, June. Okay, it will be Monday, and then we will discuss this one. Some of you can still work on the weekend before that. Okay, and then for the judging process, it will be around late February and early March. The interesting thing is the final or the result will not be announced until the award ceremony. So in the award ceremony, basically the shortlisted submission will make the final presentation, and then they will announce who will be the winner at the same event. And this one, I think we have not confirmed the date yet. It will be either 16 or 18 of March. Okay, depending on the venue availability. So if you want to know more information, then you can contact this email. And for the online form and all these the submission details, we will send out through the P-cert and mailing list, and also with all the members of HKABAEIMA. So at last, I just want to encourage all of you to submit this one. And this is the first time we organize this event. So please be the first ones to get the Hong Kong Open Film Open Festival. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Jake, again. The event today has provided fruitful knowledge about its topic, open data towards a smart city. Before the end of the event, may we please invite our president of Hong Kong HKABAEIMA, architect Ada from BBS, to share her closing remarks. Ada, please.
Well, distinguished guests, our audience, and we have a very fruitful session this day. At the celebration of our second anniversary, we are still a toddler in this world of open BIM, and we learn to run before we learn to walk, as mentioned by guest on earlier. But today we have a very fruitful session for sharing how we can achieve open BIM training and how we can connect with collaborators like Smart City Consortium to bring our work on open BIM, open data workflows to new heights and build a smarter Hong Kong. And we got a sharing from our Building Smart Nationals awardees and also participants. So I think all in all, it is a very fruitful day for all of us. Plus, finally, well, this is the first ever open BIM competition that we have in Hong Kong, organized by Hong Kong HKABAEIMA, and no one else has organized similar things before. So I'm sure that you should agree with me that sustainability is safeguarded by the long-term interoperability standards with open BIM, and the open BIM, open data, global assets appropriate for long-term stewardship. So we hope to bring open BIM and Building Smart to Hong Kong's community, and we also bring Hong Kong closer to the global fraternity of Building Smart International. And we also work together with them, like in Open City or some parts like integrating open BIM and blockchain, robotics, so on and so forth. Can we do something more? Is something that I have in mind. So I have high hopes that we will have a fruitful gathering of submissions in this coming awards. So this is what I have in mind. So watch out the dates as mentioned by Jack. So I would like to thank all our participants, as well as our audience, our guests, and as well as the organizers and also our helpers today. Thank you very much. And I would also like to take this opportunity to give a vote of thanks to all the speakers on our virtual classroom. We'll give you a certificate later on, but you can see this is the full list of them in the last 1.5 years of work. And then we have a lot of helpers as well. So all these working behind the scene, there's also another group of very helpful colleagues that are working with us. So finally, although we are still a baby in this work of open BIM, we should be collaborating and enabling digital transformation with open BIM, open GIS, open CDE, and promoting Building Smart professional certification, and promoting our open data workflows for the built asset and RAN industries in Hong Kong, as well as in the world. So thank you very much for your participation, and we look forward to seeing you somewhere, sometime later perhaps in the award ceremony, when you can submit and contribute. How about that? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ida. After these 3 hours of sharing and presentation of certificates, I believe our audience should have gained a lot. Well, firstly, we have gained 2.5 hours of CPD, which is quite important during the end of the year, especially.
But the most valuable thing is that we have learned about how we can aggregate and make sure of the open data across different types of technology. We believe open data and open BIM platform will become the mainstream in the construction industry in the coming future. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all again for joining this Hong Kong ABEIMA second anniversary special event today. For online audience, please be reminded again to confirm your attendance by scanning the QR code next to the screen. That's all for today, and hope you all enjoy and have a good evening. See you all next time.
And could I remind once again all the guests, please return the name card before you leave. Thank you very much. Thank you.
好嘞。